We have a 2009 Audi 4 2.0 TSI engine, and we have a problem with the PCV valve. These cars have a lot of problems with PCV valves, and car will be running rough, misfiring at idle. As soon as you press the gas pedal, the misfires will go away. But they also have one more little problem with vacuum leaks, and they're in the rear main seal. So before you go replacing either one, you have to do a smoke test on the car. This is a PCV valve right here. Just pop the cap off a dipstick out and smoke test it through the dipstick hole, and make sure you're not leaking smoke through between the engine and transmission through the rear main seal. If you do, you're gonna need to remove the transmission and replace the rear main seal. So we start by removing this vacuum hose. You got little buttons on the sides of the clip of the hose. Pressing them and wiggle the hose out little by little. Don't go too hard on it, you don't want to break it. Same thing here. Take it off. Then we're gonna need to pull the coil packs out. I'm missing a bolt over here, so we're just gonna pull them out. If you have a bolt in there, you're gonna need to remove that bolt. Be careful pulling the coil packs out. You don't want to break any connectors or coil packs themselves. Do them evenly, one by one. Otherwise you might break this wire cover. You're gonna need to disconnect them. There's a little tab on the back of the plug. Press it on and disconnect it. You have to press on the connector like you're trying to close it, then press the tab and disconnect the coil pack. Take the plugs off little by little. Make sure you don't break the coil packs or the plugs. Very careful, these plastics are brittle. You have several T30 bolts holding the PCV valve down to the cylinder head. Take them all out. Don't lose them. Pay very close attention. Do not drop any of the bolts into the cylinder head, or there will be massive damage to the motor done. The wires, you could move them around to get to all the bolts. If you're not comfortable, you could disconnect the solenoids, but it's enough slack in there in the wires to take the bolts out. This hose over here and this piece over here, this is not a part of a PCV valve, so it's gonna stay in here when you're gonna lift the valve up. Be careful not to break it, or you will have problems. Just wiggle the valve. This thing over here slides out of the PCV valve. As you see, it has a little O-ring on it. So we got our PCV valve out. Once again, make sure not to drop anything into the motor. It will cause massive damage if you drop anything in there. And make sure you smoke test the motor through the dipstick tube to make sure that it's actually a PCV valve and not your rear main seal. Take a rag with a cleaning solution. Spray some on the rag. Clean the sealing surfaces of the valve cover, where your new PCV valve is going to be located. Once again, make sure you didn't drop anything inside the motor. If you see any loose parts inside the motor and you didn't drop them in there, you have to investigate where they came from, because there is a problem in the motor if you have loose parts laying around. We have our new PCV valve, original. Always get original valves. They revised them several times already, so you do not want to put aftermarket valve in there. What happens sometimes when the PCV valve fails, it could be if the membrane is failed completely, it could be sending boost into the motor and pushing all the gaskets out of the motor. So you don't want that happening. Use original valve. Don't use used valves as well. So now we're gonna need to put this hose back into the valve and bolt the valve down. Slide it in, nice and easy. The valve comes with the gasket pre-installed on it already. That's it. Make sure you put all the bolts in. Pre-tighten the bolts. Make sure the bolts go in nice and easy. You don't want to strip the thread. We have our little torque ratchet, 8mm. Make sure you torque down all the bolts. You don't want this thing to be loose. Okay, now we could put the hose back on. Make sure it clips in. Now we could slide the coil packs back in. Now, you're gonna need to lift the wire harness. And slide the coil pack connectors in before putting the coil packs back in all the way. Now clip in all the connectors and the coil packs. and push the coil packs all the way in. Now reinstall this little bolt over here. It's nice to have it in there. Alright, now we're gonna put the cover back on, clear the codes, and see if it's running good. That's about it.